Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Quartz Systems. This is the first week's introductory video where we're introducing the course to you. We'll talk about the course syllabus. We'll look at Blackboard and where to navigate to find things in Blackboard. And we'll direct you to some other videos that you'll need to watch during the first week. There's a lot to do the first week, and it's actually a short week because it ends on Friday. Generally, you'll have from one Friday to the following Friday. But at the beginning of the semester starts on either Monday or Tuesday, and you don't have that extra day. But you need to get this stuff done. At least get the introductory quiz out of the way because if you haven't done any work, you may be automatically dropped, and I don't want anybody to do that. So let me get out of the way, and we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the course. When you get into your course in Blackboard, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time telling you how to get into Blackboard, if you're watching this video from the email that I sent out before class started and you don't know how to get into Blackboard, there's a lot of support for you. You should already know how, because taking an online class, you should have taken the online orientation course. But if for some reason you haven't, send me an email and we'll get you some help. For the 99.9% of you who know how to get into Blackboard and navigate to the course, the landing page for this course is the dashboard page. Now, really the only thing you'll be looking at here is the announcements. Right now there's no announcements because the course hadn't started. But here each week I will be sending out a Do This Week announcement where I give you a link to the weekly update video that I do every week, generally done on Friday, and post it usually by noon on Friday. I have them posted. There's an outside link to that, and then I have a list of everything that you have to get done during that week in order to be counted as fully present during the course. In addition to that, if there are some changes, I will send out announcements. I'll send out announcements if we've got a special event going on, if the course has changed, if the college is going to be closed for, I don't think I've gone 2 semesters in the 7 years I've been teaching here without some closure because of a hurricane, a tropical storm, a freeze. We've had 2 of those where the roads were predicted to freeze and didn't, but the college was still closed. And of course the most recent, the COVID closures. So with that said, there may be some changes, and I will put the announcements here. In addition to placing the announcements here, I send them out as an email. It goes to your college email account. It's important that you look at your college email account a couple times a week. Probably a good idea to look at it every day. If you're taking more than one course, you may have important announcements there. If you don't do that, and it's because you just don't want to open it up and you've already got a personal email that you do look at, I've got instructions on the first page, the first weekly content that shows you how to forward your personal your college email to your personal email. We'll get to that when we get to that page. The other stuff on this page is the to-dos right here. Those have no value in this course because I don't have due dates set other than possibly the research paper or court observation paper, whichever you're able to do, or the presentation. Other than that, I don't have due dates set because of the way the course is set up. If in the course, to move from chapter to chapter, you have to do all the material for the previous chapter, and if you don't, then you can't move forward. If I set up dates in Blackboard and you're running late and you didn't get something done and you do the work, you can't then proceed to the next level if I've got due date set, because if it's past due, it doesn't mark it as grade. So I'll leave it open. So with that in mind. Okay, so that is the landing page. The other pages that you will deal with, and I'll talk about each one in a second. Under course materials, we have the start here. That's the first page we'll go to. We'll do that in just a minute. That's where I have the course syllabus, the course schedule, We've got a copy of information on the textbook that we're using for the course and my office hours. The next one is the weekly content page. This is the meat and potatoes. This is where everything you need to do each week is located. Even a link to, if there's an exam that week, there's a link in that week's page that you can click on to bring you to the exam tab. Now, the exam tab has the exams, and the research paper has all the information on the research paper. Other sections that are here, we have email, discussion boards, my grades, the virtual meeting room. We will do an orientation. It will be in a virtual meeting room, but because I'm doing the same orientation with two different sections, it will be done in through a link, not within Blackboard. And then we've got a link to course tools. You probably won't use any of those. We've got technical support, Blackboard chat, a link to the career coach, and finally the link to the library, which will be very helpful when you're doing your research paper. So now we'll look at each different section. As we're going through this, keep in mind that there is going to be an introductory quiz that is covering mainly the syllabus, which will be one of the first things we look at, and the APA plagiarism section video that you will have to watch. That's located, if you're watching this in Blackboard, it's located right down there. The next one down. If you're not watching it in Blackboard, go to the weekly content and then click on the APA plagiarism. Now, if you've taken several of my classes, it's the same video. It hasn't changed, but you're still responsible for the material. I'm just saying you don't have to watch it 4 times, and expect it to change. If you haven't seen it in a while and need a refresher, definitely watch it. So let's go to the Start Here page first. And the first thing will be the syllabus. We'll get right back to it because we'll go over the other things real quick. There's a link to my grades. This is where you find your grades. I've got links to my grades in several locations. There is the course schedule, the class schedule. Any changes will be noted here. Got a link to send email. If you need to send me email, you can do it from here. You can do it from the Outlook that you have available to you, or the online version of the Outlook that you get to from the pod. But if you've got issues, send me an email, please. I won't be able to fix something if I don't know that there is a problem. There's a copy of the textbook. You can get it either through the bookstore or online. If you're taking courses, several courses that use Cengage books, you may want to look at Cengage Unlimited. It gives you digital versions for one set price for all your classes. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you're taking intro in this class, that's 2 different classes that use Cengage books. Most of my classes do use Cengage books, and I kind of went in that direction because of this unlimited. And then there was a link to my office hours. The hours posted here are going to change from semester to semester, and I really don't know what they're going to be until the last minute, because it's based upon what courses make during the semester or which courses have enough students. So we're now going to go back up to the syllabus. It's real important that you kind of read through this and get familiar with it. Most of the syllabus is a standard template. So the areas that we're going to go over are the things that are different about mine or that are individualized to this course. Excuse me. So first, you're just identifying the course. This is CRIJ 1306. As I'm filming this presentation, is the spring of 2021 semester. Of course, that may change depending on the semester. If my syllabus doesn't change, the video doesn't change. So again, they've changed our syllabus so much. I've been reproducing these almost every semester, but it's there. Now, this is an online class, and a lot of people kind of think an online class is self-paced. You do things at your own pace. Well, that's not the case. You can work ahead, but you can't work behind. If you want to complete the entire course in 5 weeks, it is definitely doable. You can do everything in the course with the exception of completing the follow-up post to the discussion, because you have to wait for other students to post before you can do that. If you complete the course in 5 weeks and go back and do all the discussions, you just have one or a couple things to do each week to complete it. I'm not suggesting that you do it in 5 weeks, but that's out the length of our summer courses, and people complete them all the time without any difficulty. So you can work ahead, but you can't work behind. There are deadlines, and if you miss a deadline, you'll be marked either late or absent. We're going to talk about that when we get down to the section of the course on attendance. And let me just say, if you're late every week, you'll fail the class. If you miss one assignment each week, that's 16 weeks. That would be the equivalent of 8 absences, and that's comes to 5 grade reductions. So you can't be late on something each week. Now, in this course, all the major exams and the introductory quiz are taken in a proctored setting. Our accreditation says that we have to give the major exams in some type of proctoring. And the introductory quiz is given in a proctored setting so that you can practice using the proctored setting. That way you're kind of familiar with it, and if there's some issues, we can kind of work them out. The proctored setting we use here now is called HonorLock. It is simply an extension in the Chrome browser. So you will need to use Chrome browser. You will need to use a device that has the full version of the Chrome browser, which includes all the Apple computers, not the tablets, but the computers, the Chromebook computers, and then the Windows computers and laptops will work perfectly okay. Mobile devices don't work. You can't use cell phones or most tablets, and unless you've got to work around where they're running the full version of Chrome, they're just not going to work with HonorLock because you have to have those extensions. In addition to the computer using Chrome, the Chrome browser, you also need a working webcam and microphone, and you will need your student ID to take the exam. If you don't have one, then you can use as an alternative a state-issued ID like your driver's license. If you don't have a stable internet connection, you're going to have issues. I've had students take them using a hotspot on their phone, but they have to have a really good connection. A lot of the issues we have with HonorLock have to do with connectivity. So just we kind of work through it. You may find another location to take the exam. It doesn't take a lot of network power or internet speed, but it takes more than just a weak signal is not going to work because we are sending video back and forth. So you kind of need that. Okay, as far as communicating with me, you need to send me an email as preferred method. If you send me an email, please identify which class you're talking about. I get more emails from students and spend more time trying to figure out which class they're talking about. If they're in one class, I just have to open up a spreadsheet and see which class they're in and then go look at the material. But if they're in several classes, then I got to figure out which one had this hiccup in. So identify the class you're in. Tell me what the issue is. And I will get back with you. Now, you have to send me email from your Alvin Community College student email account for me to talk to you. This has to do with FERPA laws and privacy issues. And if you send me an email from your private email and I identify it as your private email, I'm not going to say that I catch it every time, but if I catch it, I will send you an email back saying, hey, I got your email, but I can't respond. You'll have to go to your student email and repeat and send the information back to me. This is a college requirement. This isn't my requirement. This is the college requirement. So please be sure you do that. And the other thing I mentioned earlier, you can forward the email to your personal email account. If you do that, and I would suggest you do it if you don't check your college email every day, don't hit reply and reply back to the email, because what happens is you forwarded the email from your college account to your personal account, and if you hit reply, it's going to send the reply back to your college account. So you need to go into your college account and then reply to the response. Okay, but you'll know the email is there. The next thing in here, we have a course description. It's a 3-hour lecture course, which provides a study of court systems as applies to the structure, procedures, and practices and sources of laws in America using federal and Texas statutes and case law. Now, obviously, it's an online class. We don't have 3 hours in lecture each day, each week, but you've got videos and other things that you need to do, which come to an in-class equivalent of 3 hours. They say 2 hours outside of the class for every hour in class, so you're looking about, in theory, you should be able to complete the course working 9 hours a week. Again, that varies considerably amongst different students. The learning outcomes. Upon successful completion of this course, the student will describe American judicial system. Sorry about that. My cat just hit the keyboard. My wife's cat. Upon successful completion of this course, the student will describe the American judicial system, civil, criminal, and juvenile, their jurisdictions, developments, and structure. They'll analyze the function and dynamics of the courtroom work group, and that's the people who work in the court, like the lawyers, the judges, the bailiffs, the court reporters, and all those different people. They'll identify judicial process from pre-trial to appeal, from the original court case on up to the as far it can go, all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court at times. And they'll describe the significant constitutional amendments, doctrines, and other sources of law in the American judicial system. Now, there are no prerequisites on this course. We've already talked about the textbook. Here is another copy of the course outline. The one in Blackboard will be more than up to date than the one in the syllabus. I don't go back and update the syllabus one. It's got to be published. Now, during this course, there will be 3 major exams and a final. The exams will all consist of 50 questions that will cover the material that we've covered since the last exam. So typically speaking, there'll be 4 chapters per exam, and I think that the final exam is going to cover 3 new chapters because we'll cover 15 chapters during the semester. The exams are multiple choice, or true-false. The extra credit question, which will be found in one of the class videos, is going to be fill in the blank. But other than that, it's multiple choice. There may be some matching questions. I've used a few. Don't use them too often anymore, but there may be a few in there. You will have 50 minutes to complete the test. Now you go, oh, only 50 minutes and there's 50 questions. The average time for the last semester I was looking at is under 25 minutes for a student to take the exam over the regular exams. Under 25 minutes. That is half the time that you're allotted. The exams are going to be open book and open your personal notes. And by personal notes, I mean the notes that you created, not notes that you went and found somewhere online or got from someone else. Now, there's a little bit of exception to them being personal. Our discussion boards for this course are going to be exam reviews. And you're going to submit your exam review, and in an effort to try to get the students to work together, which was kind of unsuccessful in my classes. We finally got the police academy students, cadets, to start doing work studies together after several semesters of trying. I'm kind of forcing you to work together here because you've got to do an exam review and post it, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth later, and there's another video to watch on it so that we'll really get into it in depth. And then you have to do follow-ups by looking for answers that are different than the answer that you got. Now, you got to look for an answer that they actually answered, and you got to look at your answer, which is actually different from theirs, and then talk about the differences and which one's right, which one's wrong, or maybe they're both right. Maybe they're both wrong. I don't think I've had that come up yet, but maybe they are. When you're going through these, if you find someone has a different answer than yours, you can copy it and add it to your own exam review. That's still your personal notes, and you can use it. And I've definitely encouraged you to take, like the first one, you've got chapters 1 through 4 for the first exam. I would say take all 4 chapters, combine them into one document, and then before you take the exam, you would open that up and you would open up your digital version of the textbook if you have a digital version, and then you start the exam. And the reason for this is you don't want to use part of your time of your 50 minutes in finding the document in especially your textbook if you've got to go somewhere and log in, and that may take some time. So do it right before you log into Blackboard, or you can do it after you logged into Blackboard, right before you hit the start button for the exam, and when you're before you go through that honor lock system. There will be the exams are given using the honor lock system, and it's the proctoring system I mentioned a little earlier. As part of the system, I can see your screen. So don't go to any unauthorized screens. Particularly, the biggest offender lately is Quizlets. Quizlets is great for studying, but it is not something to use during the exam. In fact, if you use it during the exam, you're cheating. And if I catch you cheating on any exam during this course, you fail the course. I've only had it happen once since I've been at the college, and it was very recently, and it kind of bothers me. I don't like to think of criminal justice students cheating. I don't like to think that they kind of tried to get something over on me. So don't do it. It's not worth the risk of failing the class. It just don't do it. Now, in addition to the exam, I've got to mention more on the final. The final is going to have 80 questions on it. And those 80 questions are going to be 50 questions covering the new material and 30 questions coming from the weekly quizzes. And I'm just getting to the quizzes. The weekly quizzes will cover each chapter, and you will be required to make at least a 70 on each quiz before you move to the next one. Now, you're given unlimited attempts, and it's set up to give you the highest score that you got, not the last score that you got, so you can retake them as many times as you want in order to get that 100. And the big thing about it, if you take them over and over, you'll get that material in. Some of those quizzes are going to be utilized in the 50 questions covering the new material on all 4 of the exams. The big thing is the last 30 questions of the final exam come directly from the quizzes that were covered in the first 3 exams. And when I say directly, they're verbatim. It's the same pool. So it points to the same pool. It picks out 30 questions from that 120 questions that are in the exam pool. So if you've taken those quizzes several times, you'll know them. And that's 30 questions that you'll know you've gotten right on the exam. So kind of think about that. Now, you will have to write a research paper or court observation paper. The court observation paper is dependent on court availability. The research paper is there as an alternative. Once the court systems are open, and if the court systems are back to normal, then you won't see the research paper option there. So I'm just saying that, if I use this again in the next semester, and you don't see an option for a research paper, that's because the courts are back open and allowing the general public in. I'm filming this December of 2020, and the courts are not open to the general public right now. So the next thing on here, after you do the research paper, and there's another video for you to watch on that, you will also have to complete a PowerPoint presentation to cover your paper and then present it to either the class or other people. If we're allowed on campus, then you will come to campus to present it. If you can't come to campus during the time frame that's there, then you would be allowed the opportunity to present it to a small audience of at least 3 people and videotape that and submit it by videotape presentation. For spring of 2021, I can almost assure you we're going to be doing it by video presentation, which means there will be a video presentation discussion where you'll watch other students' videos. So some other people will see yours besides me, and you'll ask questions about it. Now, there are deadlines for when they're due. If your research paper is late, they're going to be due whichever week they're due at midnight on Thursday. When I get up in the morning and check things and start looking at them, if it's not there on Friday morning, then your grade is going to be reduced by 10 points. Now, if you get it in sometime during that week before the next Friday, you've lost 10 points. If it's still not in the following week, then you've lost 20 points. And each week there'll be an additional 10 points taken off. So make sure you get them in timely. And again, that's also in reference to the video presentation and so forth. So get those in. Now, we've got another video on the participation, the discussion. For the online class, the discussion is what would be in the face-to-face class as a participation grade. You've got to submit them in a timely manner. They're graded. Discussion boards have been deliberately set up so that you must post first before you can read anybody else's responses. Again, there's 3 parts to the discussion. It's you have to do tell me what you think was most interesting about the chapter. Then you have to do the chapter review, and then you've got to do 3 follow-up posts with other students. And there's some very specifics about it. There's another video for you to watch on that. But the problem that I have had is I've had students that will create a blank post, and then 2 or 3 hours later they'll post their response, which is suspiciously similar to other students' responses. They're getting in there to cheat. There's no other way about it. So if you're caught cheating, again, like cheating on the exam, you can't pass the class. Don't do it. Now, if you go to post and you hit the wrong button and it post it before you paste it, your document, and you add a reply in there or post it real quick with the actual discussion, and I look at the timestamp and it's been 2 minutes, I know you didn't have time to go through and basically steal someone else's response. But send me an email anyway telling me I went to post it and I hit the wrong button. I mean, I do that a lot, so I understand hitting the wrong button. So just keep in mind, though, but don't get in there and send in blank responses. The other thing is, the exam review will generally have 15 to 20, maybe 25, maybe a little less terms. Don't answer 3 questions and submit it and expect to get credit for it. In fact, you need to get at least 80% of it completed in order to get credit. You need to get at least 90% to get a little bit better grade, and to get 100% on it, you'll need to submit all 100% of the grade. So yeah, just kind of 3 grading points on that particular section. Now, the follow-up posts are worth 30%. There is another video that you will find in the second week tab right before you make your first weekly post that goes into a lot more detail on the discussion board. So watch that. There's also an academic honesty plagiarism video, APA video, that's found right below this video. Watch that. Keep in mind, if you're caught cheating the course, you will not get credit for your research paper. You don't get credit for your research paper, you don't pass the course. So keep that in mind. In order to pass this course, you need to do 100% of the material. You got to take all the quizzes and participate in all the discussions. You got to do the research paper. You got to take all the exams. So just understand that. Now, as far as the grading, the major exams are all worth 15% of your grade. So that's 45% of your grade on the 3 exams. The final, again, we got a few more questions on it, so it's worth 20% of your grade. That research paper or presentation are worth 10% of your grade, but also keep in mind it's worth 100% of your grade if you don't submit it. So you have to submit it. And the quizzes are all worth 15%. Everybody's got to get at least 70 on them, because you can't complete the course without making at least 70. So that's a good point. And you can retake them as many times as you want and actually make sure you get 100. And then those discussion boards are, again, worth an additional 10% of your grade. So make sure you get all of them done. Now, a lot of this on the course attendance policy has to do with standard language from the template and telling you why we have to do it. Because if we don't get money from the federal government, we don't have money from the U.S. Department of Education, we don't have a college. So we got to follow their rules. Also, keep in mind that you need to get material done so that you don't get dropped for non-attendance, that they will drop you. And if you're taking out student loans and things like that, there can be repercussions because of non-attendance and getting dropped. Now, we get to the real thing you need to learn about is our course policy. Again, the way we gauge attendance is based upon the work you do by the deadline that they're due. So each week there's a list of things that you need to do. It can be a quiz and a discussion. It can be a couple discussions, a couple quizzes. It can be an exam and a discussion and a quiz, follow-up post. Each week there's usually 4 or 5 things that need to be completed. If you complete all of them, you will be marked as present. So you've got to get everything done and you're marked present. If you're late on one thing, so if there were 5 things that you needed to do that week and you did 4 of them, you're marked late. If you missed, if you didn't turn in or complete 4 out of the 5, you're still marked late. As long as you do one thing, you'll be marked late, not absent. So you're marked late. Now, what is a late? Well, it takes 2 lates to make the equivalent of 1 absence. If you do not complete any work during the week, you will be marked absent. And if you're marked the equivalent of more than 3 absences, you will lose 1 letter grade from your final semester for each additional absent equivalent. So if you're marked absent, if you have 3 absences that you didn't do anything, and then you're late one time, that's 3.5. So that's more than 3. You have now lost a 1 letter grade off your grade. So if you had an A, you had a B. If you had a B, you get a C. If you had a C, you get a D. And we don't want to talk about if you had a D. Well, you just wasted your time for the course. If you have 4.5 absences, you've lost 2 letter grades, and so on and so forth. So make sure you get things done on time, and just keep in mind that just if you just don't turn one item in each week for 16 weeks, that's the equivalent of 8 absences. That's the equivalent of 5 letter grade reduction, which you can't do because you can't get below an F. So you've got to make sure you get things in on time. Also, keep in mind that all assignments must be completed in order to pass the course. Whether or not, like on your research paper, if you're 5 weeks late and you missed 50 points, the best you can get on that's 50 points, you still have to complete it. Even though you're not going to pass it, you need to complete it. Well, the rest of this syllabus is standard information. Please read through it and be familiar with it, but it should be the same as you've got in any other course. So now we'll go step back and we'll look at the other areas. We'll get to the weekly content last because that's the meat and potatoes. But we're going to go to the exam tab. Right now there will be no exams visible because you've got to do all the work before the exam becomes visible. Sorry, I needed some water. But what you do find on the exam tab is information on when the due dates are, which chapters are covered, and you get information on the HonorLock instructions. You'll also find that on the first week, and we have the copy of the HonorLock video, which is also found in the first week tab because you'll need it for the quiz. There will be, like I said, the video on HonorLock for you to watch, so I'm not going to spend much time on it, but here are the instructions. You need to make sure you follow them. I've included information on, in red on the things that would cause you to fail the entire course if you're caught cheating, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so now we will move on to the research paper tab. Again, there's another video on the research paper that will show you right. Oh, that's research on the library. Oh, I'm sorry. They're in the subfolders. If the court observation, if the courts are open and you can go to court, if you'll click on this tab, it gives you all the information on the courts, including a video to tell you what you need to do. That should
Well, everybody, in this video,
there you go. Oh, that's when my beard was a little bit longer. And in this section, there's no, I guess the link's outside. There's also one on the research paper, the traditional research paper. That is, if the courts are still closed, then you would go here. The main thing that you're going to want to look for here is you got to pick your topic. Only 1 student per topic is allowed. So you want to get in there early and pick your topic if you have something in particular you want to see. So just kind of move in that direction. Now, once you have looked at the video on these, then you will need to take a quiz. The research paper quiz is right down here. You'll need to either make 100 on it or the courts quiz. And I don't see where the courts quiz is showing, but it's, oh, because I'm not in the courts section. Let me get back one more level. And the court observation quiz is somewhere. I'll have to find it. Maybe it's right here. Ah, there it is. So in the two sections, either you'll have to take it one of these two in order to move on to the next chapter. Like the introductory quiz, which we'll get to in a minute, you have to make a 100 on it to move on to the next chapter. So just kind of look at those. And actually, it's set. Got to move on to chapter 2. You'll need that. This is where you turn in your research paper, your presentation, and upload your video. So you'll actually have 3 different things you need to do for this course. Again, the upload of the video, if we can come to campus, may not be necessary, but that will depend on which semester you're taking it and so forth. So now we'll go over and move over to the weekly content. Again, this is the meat and potatoes. As you scroll down, there are folders for each week. You can see the week number, the dates that week covers, and the things that are due. So first week we've got 7 items, and because we've got to cover 2 chapters, the second week we also have 7 items that are due. But from there on, it's going to be 4 to 5 items that you will cover each week. All the way down to the final week, you only have 3 items to cover. Of course, the final is part of that. So to get into the material, you simply click on them, and then it brings you to some information. Now, there will be an online orientation each semester. The times will be sent out to you in an announcement and so forth. They'll generally be 1, 3, and 7:30 p.m. This date and time have not been updated. You'll simply click on this link. You can actually send this link to your phone and log in through your phone as long as there's a camera on it, and camera and microphone. And I don't know anybody's cell phones that don't have those today, or you can log in from a computer. Simply put your full name on there so that I can identify you and mark you as attended. But again, we'll send out more information. During the first week, you'll have to watch this video that I'm making right now. There'll be a weekly update video which will show up somewhere around here that for you to watch. There will be the introductory quiz, the APA video that you need to watch, because the introductory quiz covers both of those, and you need to make a 100 on it. So you'll have to retake it if you make less than 100. And the questions don't change, so you should do fine. And then we got 2 discussion boards for you to do, introduce yourself and a paraphrase. For the introduce yourself, simply tell us about yourself. What's your major, where are you working, what are your career goals, and so forth. In the paraphrase, you'll read an article, a recent article from the local area newspapers on some topic. I want you to read it, close the article out, and then you'll write what you think it meant. So you kind of work on it just to show well, that's what it's paraphrasing. It's an exercise. We don't want it verbatim. This is to help you when you go to write your research paper. And then got a link to the research paper tab where you have to do the court observation or if courts are closed, the traditional research paper. And then the next section is a real important thing. It's the Ask Your Instructor. If you'll click on that the first time you see it and click on subscribe, anytime a student asks a question, you'll get an email about it. I've never had more than 5 and 6 in a course during the semester, so it's generally just 1 or 2. But it could be something that's very important to you, so if you subscribe, you'll get that and you'll be able to go there. So you use this to ask questions regarding the textbook, the lectures, question about the test, question about anything that would be of general interest, and be sure to include the chapter that you're referring to in your subject line so I know where you're talking about. And I will respond by sending an email to the person who asked the question and by posting a response in the discussion board for everybody, because these are things that could be important to other students. Now, you do not use this forum to ask questions about your grades or other personal questions. If you've got those, send me an email and we will make arrangements for a time to meet you, either on campus if we're back on campus or virtually. If you're sending it, include your cell phone number and the best time to call you so I can call you and kind of make arrangements. Finally, I'd mentioned earlier about posting or forwarding your email. Here's a simple video
hello, everybody.
that will show you again how to do that. Again, I had my long beard when that video was made. Now, this Ask the Instructor discussion board will be found at the bottom of each page on the weekly page section. Now, the next page we're going to look at real briefly, if I can get back to it, the student preview mode is covered the navigation bar, so I couldn't get to it. But I'm going to go to week 2 to just show you what you will see and what you won't see. So on week 2, we're looking at the learning objectives for Chapter 1. We've got the video for Chapter 1, and we've got the quiz visible for me for Chapter 1. Now, the thing that is not, that the reason they're showing is my preview student has already completed all the prerequisites, which were the Introduce Yourself discussion. They participated in that. They participated in the paraphrase exercise. They made a 100 on the introductory quiz and made a 100 on either the research paper or the court observation quiz. So after they did all of those prerequisites, this became visible. If we scroll on down, you'll see the chapter 1 discussions there. We get to Chapter 2, and the only thing visible are the learning objectives and the discussion. They're not there because the preview student has not made at least a 70 on Chapters 1 quiz or completed the Chapter 1 discussion. But once that occurs, then the Chapter 2 video will show up for you. Now, the other thing I want to show you real quick here is that video on the instructions for the chapter discussions. Even if you took this course last semester, watch the video. I'm going to be a lot more stringent on the grading this semester, or if you had it in a previous semester. So just watch it. It's not that long.
Well, hello, everybody.
I realize there's a lot to watch this first week, but it's a lot of material that we've got to cover. It tells you exactly what you need to do for the Chapter 1 discussion. And then we've got a couple of follow-ups that were due this week. So when you have a link to the follow-up post, the follow-up on Introduce Yourself and Paraphrase, there's no criteria for this. Just welcome your fellow student, talk about their paraphrase, how they did on it. Just do 3 of those and you're done. The chapter discussion follow-ups are going to be a little bit more in-depth. So to show you kind of the instructions on that, we will go back to week 3, where we've got the follow-up posting, just to let you know how it will kind of look different. There's the Chapter 1 the follow-up post, where you just need to kind of follow all these rules. Once you watch the video on it, you'll see there's a rubric for grading, so it's very simple for you to see what you have to do to get 100%. Well, that's all I've got for you this week. Be sure to watch the APA video, the APA plagiarism video. Take that quiz and make a 100 on it. If you don't get a 100 on it, I highly suspect you'll see all the answers when you look back at your screen, because you'll just look for them. They will be there before you take it a second time. And again, you got to use the honor lock, so that's more of a test of honor lock than anything else. That's all I have for you. Looking forward to working with each and every one of you this semester. Good luck, and we'll talk to you in the coming weeks in the weekly update video.